It's James. We're in the Net News Ledger studio. I'm here with Chief Isadore Day. Chief Day is running for the Ontario Regional Chief position with Chiefs of Ontario, which is part of the Assembly of First Nations. Welcome back to the studio.
Thanks for having me, James.
Now, we were talking a little bit about campaign platform.
Right.
What are the planks in your campaign platform? Can you share them with us? I know it's early going.
Yeah, it is, but I think it's important to let the people know, the chiefs and the general public. It's important to let folks know what we're doing and the plan that we have. Mm-hmm. There's really nothing new other than the fact that we're now just placing that as a set of priorities in front of the chiefs and getting out to the communities. But I've said it before, our children really should be our central focus, and basically that is the premise of the work we're going to do, is protecting the future for the next generation and ensuring that what we leave for our children is going to ensure that they have quality of life. Now, one of the most important fundamental pieces going forward is that each First Nation child that's born is born with sovereignty and inherent rights, and those are rights that were never relinquished. We're not a conquered people. The history of war in this country is one where we formed an alliance with the Crown. And why our ancestors fought in those wars and why they continue to uphold the veterans the way they do is because of the sovereignty that is seated in each Indigenous child. And we are very much focused on ensuring that identity, language, nationhood, all those things that really help a person connect to who they are, that is something for us and our children. So it's really gets very interesting because we know that in our sense of identity is our language. Our language is connected to the land, so it really does snowball and present a whole different set of issues to deal with.
The issue of youth and education. What needs to happen?
Well, let's face it. I think there's been a long-standing issue that we know we've dealt with the residential schools. So the issue of trying to pull the culture out of a human being and replace it with something that isn't of that individual doesn't work. The residential school issues are clearly something that we're going to deal with in the next generation. However, I think we're at a point in time where we realize that education and the way in which we provide those tools and those options for learning for First Nation people must be based on our culture, identity, language, those things that an individual can connect with. So I think we know that our young people today pretty much are saying it right across the board. Yes, all the numeracy, the English, all of the mandatory things that kids learn in school and that we learned when we were in grade school, in high school, those are all necessary. However, there's another aspect that has always been removed and stolen from our people, and it's the sense of who we are, and that's going to be a pretty important part of the mandate.
If you don't know who you were from, how are you going to know where you're going to get to?
Exactly.
And youth are, in many cases, many of the young people I know are hungering to get back into the culture, and you see it at the powwows and you see it at the gatherings. So it is changing,
right? And
the youth are kind of driving it quietly by their presence,
right? And you know what? I think it's even more than that, James. Many of the young people today, they understand the powwows, the protocols, and the ceremonies that have been unearthed over the last 2 decades. But there's another level of I would call it cultural intuition, if you will, and it's how a young person feels when they're on the land. And our young people today are basically saying, listen, that land, that's who I am, and you can no longer violate that with a certain kind of development that is going to destroy it. And you know, that's another important level of education and awareness, and it's something that even some of our young people are saying, listen, I'd rather be on the land versus being in school.
Yeah.
And it's now you know, one of the strategic focus on education is to blend the two.
Yeah.
And that seems to work a lot better.
Well, with many of the youth, you know, they will instinctively know what they need,
Yes.
and they're telling their parents, and they're telling the elders, and they're telling their grandparents, and inversely up the chain to the chiefs. So
Yeah.
it's a matter of listening.
Yes. Yeah, I think in Anishinabek culture, you know, we know that there's a very important process of continuum and understanding who we are, and it's called the 7 stages of life. And there's the place called the fast life, and the young people are equipped with a sense of vision and strength and intuition, and the drive to, you know, accumulate as much as possible. And it's really important to recognize that you know, with all the different challenges and issues we're faced with in society today, it's the young people that are actually going to help you know, build a much stronger and healthy footing in terms of you know, what society is going to look like in the next generation. So clearly you know, our Indigenous youth are very much a value, and they are not our leaders of tomorrow, they're our leaders today.
Well, you see it when government and others talk about, you know, the fastest growing sector of our population is Aboriginal youth. So we better be doing things in our society to make sure that they're best prepared to be the best people they can be.
Right, yeah, I totally agree.
I'm James Murray. I'm in the Net News Ledger studio with Chief Isadore Day, who is running for Regional Chief of Ontario in an election that'll be coming up later this summer.
Thanks, James.
Thank you.